Hey everybody, welcome back. Episode 46 of the Legends and Dragons podcast. Broadcasting here in Hurst, Texas. The Legends Lair. We have Jasper.
We have Jimmy Klaus. And once again,
What's up?
Jimmy has...
It looks good, Rick.
there. Oh, now it's perfect. Now it's perfect.
That's all you... Hey,
Nothing but the best for our people.
absolutely. And a special guest.
Those micro adjustments.
Yeah,
Who do we have here, Chance?
We have Nate Hallford, who I met. I was today years old when we met.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were about 20 minutes ago.
But I've known of you for years.
Yeah.
I hate yelling. Why? Well, because you told me how to speak up because of the podcast.
Well, you mumble like an old man in the Labyrinth movie.
That sounds like
In the Labyrinth movie, huh? I sound like the old.
That's very specific.
Yeah, it was very specific up in there. So, man, Nate, owner, Sloth BJJ.
Sloth Jiu-Jitsu, yeah.
All right, so is that like a school across the country sort of thing, or is that? See, you guys are like, I know that.
I love that I know this story.
Yeah.
Do you know how it started?
Okay, so this is what through the grapevine I heard is that you, like many of us, through the course of your jiu-jitsu journey, developed a nickname.
Nicknames are given. Yeah.
Right? Because of the way you would crawl up somebody.
That's kind of the story.
Is that kind of the story?
So I was cross training with my buddy Colin Grayson, CTA Irving. He'd been a good friend. He's helped me out a lot. And he had lunch classes. So I worked in Las Colinas, and I just, hey, can I drop in? We became friends. And so it was open mat. He had a black belt there named Chris. And we were just, the first nickname they gave me was Wet Cement. Because once I got set in side control, they were fucked. That's not a great one. And then I had some nicknames.
Went submit jiu-jitsu.
Because I'm very, very slow, methodical, fill in the gaps and pressure. So once I get set and I got the static hold in, they're right.
Right.
I had another nickname that was Care Bear for a little while. My grandfather, his nickname was Bear. He flew model airplanes. He's actually a world champion in flying model airplanes. Cool story. So I was like, I should have a nickname like Bear. I'm a hairy guy. And so I was like, hey, you're too nice. We'll call you Care Bear. So the Sloth nickname. Yeah. So I was a brown belt, 4 stripes, I think at the time. I was rolling with this purple belt. I had his legs pinned.
Okay.
And so I stepped over like I was trying to go to mount, and I grabbed his lapels, and I was slowly just kind of going up, inching to really keep the position. And then Chris over the back there goes, and now the sloth climbs the tree. And that was it.
That's such a...
I came in the next day. It was no more Wet Cement, no more Care Bear. Sloth, what's up? I'm like,
yeah.
Do I get the pick? No. And that was it. So it wasn't even at my gym. It was at an open mat somewhere else. Became Sloth. And then a couple of weeks later, it was April 1st. This is 9 years ago on April 1st. Posted, hey guys, I'm leaving the gym I was training at. I'm going to open my own gym. It's going to be Sloth Jiu-Jitsu. April 1st. What day is that?
Yeah.
April Fool's Day. I got so many messages like, hey, when are you opening up? I'll come train. I was like, hey guys, this is just a joke. I'm still at the gym. That was just a joke.
Yeah.
And then around the next year, I was cross training in a place in Irving. It was a Taekwondo school, but they had a jiu-jitsu program inside of it. This guy named Adam Trees did it, and he's fantastic. Machado black belt, best butterfly guard I've ever seen.
Real.
And it was 2 miles from my house. I had moved up at the time. And so I was living back in Irving where I grew up at. So this gym was 5 minutes down the road. I could leave at 6:30 and be home by 8 versus leaving at 6 and getting home at 10 just because I was training in Mansfield at the time. And he was there. The owner of the Taekwondo school comes in. He goes, hey, Adam, I need you to open a second location. I've got a Euless school as well. The other John in the row is? He's like Taekwondo guy. Been around forever. So he had a school in Euless, school in Irving. He had a jiu-jitsu program in Irving through Adam. And he goes, hey, Nate will do it. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, percentage of revenue. It's already got mats. Here's the days you can use it. Just run your program, give me some money, and we'll call it a day. And I was like, so I got to open my gym with no money down outside of a website and a $35 on Fiverr for a logo.
Wow. That's
so I think as soon as I signed my second student up, I was now profitable. So it was a percentage of revenue.
So great.
And that was 8 years ago in April. So coming up on, it'll be 8 years in April. Okay, weeks.
That's what our barn space concept. So Dad and I bought my first school when I was 17 from my dad in Colleyville, and took on a business partner which was my one story with business partners. That was my first and last business
I'm
partner.
about to say, I have opinions
But
on
yeah,
that.
listen, man, I was 18, 19 years old, and she had a business. She had a master's degree in business, so like it made sense, you know. We ran it for a couple of years, and then I realized like I can't do that. I have to be the one that does all this stuff. And so we parted on good terms. I'm still on good terms with her, but I sold her my half of the business, and Dad had discovered a thing from a guy in Florida called the borrowed space concept. And from 1996 to almost 2007, I didn't have a brick and mortar school. I ran through rec centers and YMCAs and churches, and it was on the percentage of thing. And at one point, Dad and I had 400 students. Well, because we each had 4 locations, but it was 1 day a week in each of these places. And so the math matched up, and it worked. And we worked like 20 hours a week, and I mean, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
I've never made that much money again. It's never happened.
Let's say we had 400 students.
But you also have staff. You also have other stuff.
I love this place. This was Dad and I's dream, was to run a school together. And so we got to do that before he died, and that was really great. Yeah.
Dude, I've been seeing the pictures too, man, growing.
Kid Sims is back.
I saw that, man. That kid, I think he listens to our podcast too.
He does. He says he's been stalking. He's in heaven, dude. It was great. Niles came back because him and Niles came up through the belts together.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were under blacks, and they kind of came up, and then Kid moved off to Florida, and he'd been gone for almost 10 years.
Oh, just-
and he just moved back Tuesday.
Yeah.
Walked in, and yeah, it's wonderful.
It's awesome to get those kids back.
Yes.
I have 2 kids that started training with me back when I was in the Taekwondo school.
Yeah.
And then when COVID happened, I literally, the Taekwondo school moved. They left their lease, and they said they were going to take me with them, and they didn't. And I signed my lease February of 2020. I don't know if you know that COVID thing happened in March. Yeah, so I was shut down with a lease.
5 years ago, boys.
Right when you signed the lease.
Right when I signed the lease. Like, all right, we're shut down. Cool.
Yeah.
Which gave me time to actually build out.
Sure. Yeah,
The landlord was pretty cool. He let me slide a month or sure. We don't know what's going on. Right. But yeah, I had that. But I had these 2 kids that trained with me at the Taekwondo school, and they were on and off for a couple of years. So Lucas and Caden, if y'all are listening, yeah, I talk about you guys all the time. But Lucas was this pudgy little kid. I mean, me, just this dirty kid. And then he was gone, and he started playing football at Trinity. And then his dad's like, hey, can Lucas and Caden come back? I haven't seen those kids in years. He's like, Lucas is 6'2" and has abs. Just like, nah, he can't have that. No, he's this monster of a kid. He's 17, 18, and just tough to deal with.
Yeah.
Like him coming back after 3 or 4 years, it was like, is that bad?
Right.
But yeah, that's
crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Now, are you? Do you guys? Are you affiliated or unaffiliated
I was affiliated
with Coyote?
with Professor Coyote.
Because I've got a dad here who's a blue belt at the Irving School. Ashton McKinney.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Good guy.
Yeah.
His kid just tested for his little junior black belt.
awesome. So I was affiliated with Colin and CTA, and it just...
What's CTA?
CTA is Coyote Association, so Coyote Associations. And I was with him for 6 years. I have nothing bad to say about Nick Holowski, who runs OC Heroes Kimonos, behind the scenes, fantastic. They helped me out so much. But I don't do a good job of promoting Professor Kaio like that my students really know about. Sure. So I have, I'm a Coyote affiliate, but nobody coming into the gym knows who Coyote is unless you train jiu-jitsu. He's famous in the jiu-jitsu world. And so there was, affiliation fee, things like that. And I had tough time getting head count for seminars because they just don't know. So it was, and this goes back to, we've had Blossom podcast, and there's only so much money you can invest and spend. And I've never invested in growth. I've never once marketed. I've never once had a good website. I never done anything. And boss, like, you need a website, you need a CRM. Systems.
Yeah.
So I made the decision that the affiliation fees were going to go towards marketing things. And, it was nothing bad to say about Kyle. It was just for the value of what I was paying, I wasn't really getting it. And I wasn't using his curriculum. I wasn't teaching that what he spoke. So I'm not in line with what he's doing. So
Right.
Because it was time for me to split, and I have nothing bad to say about those guys at all, but I'm unaffiliated now.
Right. Well, and I believe I agree with Bloss, and I know he's been in your ear for years, and he's such a smart guy. But when he talks about affiliation versus standalone versus build your own brand, like I've been hearing great things about you for years, but I've been hearing great things about you in the name Sloth, not an affiliation.
Right. Yeah.
And so, like, the flip side of that, going back to Ashton playing at CTA Urban with Colin, Colin does a fantastic job of marketing Kyle and has that relationship with Kyle that he had before he joined.
So it makes sense.
And it makes more sense for him. And that's great. And I'm proud of him. Sure. Came, like, we both started this part-time. Like, I still have a full-time job. I've got a conference call in 8 minutes. We'll see if I make it. And so Colin was doing that. His wife went through, like, she had a cancer diagnosis. And he was going through so much. And he was burned out. He lost his lease. He had 2 locations. He went through so much. And he doubled down and bet on himself and went full in. And it's paying dividends from the work he's done.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I sometimes, I don't know if you do the same thing. You see other people achieving. And like, man, they're doing great. Why am I not doing that great? And I had to take a step back and look at myself and go, why am I mad at the results I'm not getting from the work
I'm not doing?
Yeah. It's from the work I didn't put in. So Colin went through all that and just basically ate shit for years and busted his ass. And I'm so proud of what he's done now. And so I went through, COVID. I have 2 young daughters. I have a 6 and 7-year-old now.
Oh, that's wonderful.
COVID with my now ex-wife was incredibly difficult. I have 2 young kids. She was trying to teach online. I was trying to work online, run the academy. Didn't know if we had a school or not. Sure, all that's going on. Then we ended up going through a divorce. Great co-parent relationship. Good. But for the last 2 years, I was dealing with all that and just burned out.
Yeah,
of course, it's complete burnout. And so everything with the gym was difficult just to keep up with. You're like, why don't you market? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? I was like,
I'm barely keeping my head above water.
Yeah, it was always reactive. I never was proactive. It was always behind. I didn't plan. It was just kind of like, man, I'm just literally a week in advance as far as I go. What are you doing by? I don't know. I got class Thursday. Right. And so the surgery, so I had full shoulder replacement. So this is titanium. Been a year ago since yesterday. Sucks. Don't do it. Don't even do it. Hurts.
Mole machine now with that.
We have the technology.
Yeah.
And so I went through that, and it forced me to take time off. It forced me to let go. And because it was a big fight with my ex, is like trying to get to the girls' soccer game. And I also had class, and I didn't trust anybody or in kids' class. I didn't trust anybody. I didn't have those people to rely on, partly because I didn't let go, partly because I didn't have the right people at the time. About 2 years ago, Bloss came in, friend of Chris Gray, which I hear you went to high school with.
I went to high school with Chris.
So my Muay Thai instructor went to high school with Chris. Like, we have all these paths that have crossed.
Yeah.
You just met now.
Yeah.
What about
We just met today.
And so students that cross train at both gyms, it's crazy, all this. So Chris keeps talking about this guy, Bloss. And I knew Bloss from Facebook when he was a purple belt when he had core fight.
Right.
And he had the most just chintzy marketing. Blah, 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 and all the emojis and fireball. I was like, God, I don't like this guy.
Right.
I don't like this guy. And I never met him. And then he sold his gym to a guy named Brandon Quick. And there's, stories about him throughout the community.
Right.
I don't have any issues with him. And I was like, man, he sold to Brandon. Okay. And so I just had this issue with Bloss, and I'd never met him.
Right.
And then Chris brings in Bloss, or Bloss came in with somebody, and we just hit it off. And he's like, hey, can I start dropping by? I was like, yeah, come by. And then now all of a sudden he's here. Now he's one of my students. Then he picks up a class. And he starts in my ear chirping about hey, you could do this. You could do this. You could do that. I mean, I'm just trying to get through my life right now. My life, was just behind my ear trying to urge me, and kept saying, I'm selfishly doing this because I want you to be successful because you're a good person. And I want more training partners, and I want to. So he's been a fantastic help.
We love Bloss.
Yeah. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I want to punch him in the face.
No, I mostly want to punch you in the face. The funny
But
thing,
he's got better striking.
yeah. So Bloss, the funny thing about Bloss, how I met him, this is an interesting story. It's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon all over my life. And so I kept hearing good things about Bloss, and I'm like, I need a mitt guy. I'm the mitt guy. I'm the mitt holder for all my people. I don't have a mitt guy, right? And I'm like, you know what? Dad always wanted me to do Muay Thai. He used to wake me up at 6 o'clock in the morning and rip my arm off with his Thai kicks, great fun. And and so I called Bloss because I knew Niles knew him and all that kind of stuff. So I reached out to him and I said, hey. And so on the phone, I was like, listen, I would like to learn Muay Thai. Would you teach me privately? That's the only time I can do it. I can't hit regular classes. I'm running my own school, you know? And so when we got a phone, we're about to have a phone, and I said, well, I'm really excited to meet you. And he said, well, actually, we've met before. And I was like, really? He said, yeah, you've fought one of our fighters, you know, back many years ago. And he was referring to my one and only MMA fight.
Okay.
Where I beat the first guy. I was fighting as a heavyweight. Now I was 25. So I wasn't taller than I am now. But I was 220 pounds, which I'm not supposed to be. I smoked. I smoked about two and a half packs of cigarettes a day. I ate a dozen donuts. That
So you were on the Thai?
Yeah.
The Thailand.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I'm Chance Burleson. I don't have to be in shape. I'm too good, right? And I got out there, and it was eliminations, right? So it was an amateur MMA fight. And we had to wear face cages, right? But everything went, right? And so the first guy I beat, and I did that Carlos Machado logo armbar, where he swept me, and then I threw my leg up around his neck, and it was beautiful. Picture, it's like a Norman Rockwell painting, right? But that was all I had. The second guy drew the body. And he was 10 times better than the first guy, probably ran from Dallas the morning of the fight, I ate a box of needles, you know? And this guy, Nate, beat me almost to death. And I mean, in front of my mother, like he had my head on the ground and he was beating me, right? And
I'm just picturing like
There's a picture up there too.
what was it?
yeah, no, there's a picture of
Avengers where he's in the Hulk Buster and he's just punching.
That's exactly what it was like. But he crushed the face cage and compound fractured my nose, my bones poking out through blood everywhere.
Yes.
My mom's like, oh my God! Right?
So why didn't you continue MMA?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Bloss was his coach.
Okay.
Yeah, 27 years ago.
good Lord.
And I'm like, then I definitely want you to be my coach. And then, of course, we've been great friends ever since.
Yeah. How many students do you have right now at Sloth?
I don't know. Why would you ask me something like that? That's a lost question.
That's a
Lost
question.
No, I actually did put that together. I started so over the last 6 months to a year, I finally feel like I'm coming out of the burnout.
Good.
While you're recovering.
While I was recovering, I started to hand off things, and I took a day off my schedule. I was teaching 4 to 5 days a week. Now it's down to 3.
Good.
And so I spend, one night with my daughters every week.
Good.
So it's been great for that.
Yeah.
And it's allowed me to catch up at work, kind of get the house back in order to the point where now I'm thinking proactively. So I got the new website. That conference call started. Got the new website, and things have been picking up. And Bloss has just been in my ear, and so proactively trying to do things. I'm actually going to start marketing for the first time.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I've never done an ad, never done anything.
Yeah.
So that's set up. I had to get everything in place. So it was kind of a slow churn to get everything in place, just because I'm got a full-time job. Yeah, full-time dad at the same time, and like trying to keep up with everything.
So where's Sloth BJJ for those listening? I want to drop.
That's in Euless off of Main Street, 183. If you're in Euless, you know Saviano's. That place has been there for years. I'm in the Saviano's park.
And if you ever go to the Sonic or the Starbucks right there across the street, it's right across the street. I see it every time I come back from the airport.
Right next to the donut shop.
Yep, I'm next door to the donut shop. They're fantastic. I love
Like
it.
imagine working out and just going over there like.
Well, so I have my girls every other Saturday morning. Yeah. So there's a guy, he's a veteran, always got his cap on, that's just sitting there and just talking. So he's like, hey, see you in 2 weeks. He made me and my daughters all on this side. So I always try to here's $10 and like keep the change. She'll always give me more back. Right. No, and then she's giving me extra donuts. I don't.
Right.
The donut shop is fantastic. We love it.
So the thing about marketing, and this is probably, I'm just assuming because I can already tell that we're very similar. And this is something Nikki and I have learned a lot about marketing is I love the people. That's the only part about running a martial arts school that I love. I love teaching and I love people. I don't love the nuts and bolts. I don't love the metrics. I don't love the KPIs. I don't love the ROIs.
What I do for my day job is all that.
Right.
Let me log into that conference call to set my phone. Keep going.
The problem with marketing and advertising is what I think looks attractive and cool is not what gets people.
That's why I did.
I know.
That's why I did.
So Nikki and I, and I've gotten into this video editing thing, and I'm pretty decent at it. And so I would make these really just kick ass, Nate, really, really cool marketing videos. And I learned how to do my own ads. I spent thousands of dollars last year learning digital marketing. And I made my own, and I didn't get anything. Okay. I got nothing. I got crickets. We hired a company. So I know you've seen it online. It's horribly cheesy. And I'm looking at this like nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to.
Is that the video of you talking like out here in your
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, one of them is the one that I edited, but I did their script. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's just, what sucks is what I think will attract people to my school attracts no one.
And so going back to the school I came from, he went to, you ever heard the MMA Millionaires?
Yeah.
With Irvin stuff?
Yeah.
He went to those things, and he started going from flying by the seat of his pants type thing and, really going into that. He changed how he marketed. I mean, he was really fantastic at that. I won't give him any that thing. And all the marketing and the websites and everything I started to realize weren't for me. Because I just wanted a website that basically, here's your instructor, here's your lineage, here's the schedule. And you're like, probably
Right.
Well, I need anything else. But it's not about for those people. It's getting people off to do other things. And so that's what Bloss was doing. It's like, because the marketing's not for you. It's not for our students. I don't care if you go to my website.
Right. Why would I need
You would
to?
call me. What's the schedule? Oh, we got class. Yeah, right. Like, it's about people that don't know what jiu-jitsu is and that. And so it's like kind of trying to think about what am I trying to attract? And I've never really went after that. I always wanted to just want a guy that wants to come train and be my friend. Like, go back to the people. People like the digital marketing stuff. I don't know anything about that. I am dating a lovely woman who does it for a living. Just happened to come.
Oh my God!
And so she did that on purpose.
What?
We've talked about it, and like we still haven't pulled the trigger. I've been with her for about 6 months now, and she's like, "Are you going to let me help you?" I don't know. Like, it's more of my ego. Like, I don't want you to help me. I need to pay you. She's like,
Let her help you.
yeah. So for pieces. So I've got, Bloss, you have the Google Analytics, right? This. I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. He goes, "You're still emailing from the gmail.com." He's like, "You got to get a professional email." I was like,
Right.
So I had to make myself learn how to do all this stuff.
And so what happened when you read their script, though? Like, I'm interested now. Like, after you read the company's script, did you feel as though
It was fine. I mean, I get what they were coming from.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is I took the footage that they had me shoot.
Yeah.
And they spliced it in with the most generic, hokey, just horrible stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, I've got footage of our students that looks way better, that is consistent with our school.
Yeah.
And so I edited and made a video like theirs, but with my people that I thought worked way better.
Yeah.
It got nothing. It got no traction. The one that has my people breaking and my kids hitting and all that kind of stuff.
What did they have for the other?
Dude, just like stock, like Getty's images, like.
What were the kids smiling and everybody's happy?
Yes,
there it is. And so, like, I have all these videos. Like, I can, we got a guy fighting for a Muay Thai title. I can have him murdering bags.
Yeah, that
the mom that has a 6-year-old does not want to see that.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I like that.
Oh yeah, I love that too. I want to see the guy hitting the armbar.
Yeah.
All these things, and I don't want this kid smiling.
Right.
It's like he doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, what we're doing, apparently, what the marketing is doing, because we know at a cellular level, Nate, we know what proper martial arts taught properly does for people. We know that it unbelievably transforms their lives. We know what it did for you. We know what it, and so we know what it can do. Apparently, those Getty's images of kids smiling tell that story. And apparently, that's the story we want to tell.
Nate, are you from Texas?
Yeah, I grew up in Irving.
Oh, yeah, that's Irving.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in Irving, or did you grow up in Irving?
I grew up in the south of
Okay.
south of the tracks.
I understood. Because there's Irving and there's Irving.
Yeah, so my parents had a house in South Irving. They bought this house in South Irving that I'm currently living at. I bought a house in Grand Prairie. That's how I started training at the gym I was at before. And then my mom moved to be closer to my sister, and I bought the house from her. So I'm living in the same house I grew up in.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I tell my oldest daughter, I was like, that's Aunt Diane's room you're living in. She goes, no, it's my room. I was like, when Aunt Diane was your age, she lived here. She goes, no, Diane's old.
Okay.
So yeah, I grew up in South Irving. I've been around the Metroplex. I went to UT Arlington.
Okay.
Graduated for a
Did you?
finance degree. I was
That's
at
awesome.
Irving Nimitz. So
Wow.
So you've got a finance degree out of college, and that's what you're doing today, right?
yes, it's hard to explain what I do. I work in the accounting group doing a finance role for a medical group purchasing organization. Exactly. Yeah. It's numbers. I'm good at it. It's easy. I don't want to say it's easy.
Sounds cool.
I've got a fantastic boss that has I try not to get cocky here. For my experience in finance and things, I could take other jobs. I've had recruiters approach me the last couple of years and $30,000 and $40,000 more a year, like significantly changing money.
Yeah.
But my boss has allowed me, especially over the last couple of years, going through being divorced, anytime I need time taken.
Yeah.
I need to go pick up my daughter. I get to leave at 2:30 several times a week to go pick up my daughters.
Yeah.
It's
There's something to be said about
it's that. It's completely to have the freedom, and then because I run my jiu-jitsu schools, I offset the income. Sure, yeah, I get to work harder and work just one job. Yeah, which got sometimes that would just be nice, just have one job. Well, I would miss the camaraderie. Going back to what I like is the help that I can give people. I'm not saying that jiu-jitsu is therapy.
It is therapy.
It is to an extent.
I think.
But what I think the biggest piece is, especially man to man, is after high school, you lose some of those friendships. So I was in drumline in high school. Drumline, we were one of the better drum lines. Those were my friends. Yeah. After high school, I got to college. I was kind of floating around. I didn't know what to do. And I got into street racing. So drag racing. I was racing cars, street racing, if you know, Street Outlaws, DLC. I know some of the guys that have been on that.
Okay.
One of them actually trains jiu-jitsu now over at Genesis. His name's Chris Hamilton. Yes. The Flying Banana or Boosted GT. If you
That's where Michael Rodriguez thing. Yeah.
So I have a story about him when I was a white belt. I think he came and trained with me at the gym I was at, and it was snowing. It was a no-gi night, so I was in no-gi shorts on a rash guard, and he had a 4x4, and his guy had slid off into the ditch, and so we're in no-gi shorts pulling this guy out of a ditch in South Arlington 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Almost short.
Well, there's a reason why those relationships are so, and I have a lot of theories. Most of them are wrong, but
I want to hear some of your own theories.
Okay, I'm not going to tell you about. Well, I am right about this one.
Okay, good.
There are two types of intimacy that are closer than any other kind of intimacy on the planet.
I've got a good story about this in a second.
One is a lover. Like you will only be like Jimmy and I are never going to be as close as Miriam and Jimmy.
Right.
Okay. And fighters. There's an intimacy with people you train in jiu-jitsu and sparring. You get closer to people like that. Mm-hmm. Those relationships, and here's the thing, there's a therapeutic value of allowing one human being to see you and know you, and you get to know them. There is a therapy.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the whole story I was getting to with the Chris thing. Going back to was drag racing was that new camaraderie. Sure, what's it called when you're in college? Fraternity. Real good. And so I kind of lost that. And so as I was getting into my mid-20s, I had a pretty fast car. It made 600 horsepower on spray. It was fun. But I was hanging out with people.
Let's go.
When I was hanging out with people that made 1,200 horsepower. Yeah. So I'm like getting left in the dust, and they're dropping 30 grand on motors. I'm a finance guy. This ride's pretty great. But if I sold my car, bought a house. I got kind of bored because everybody was getting older, having kids, getting away from racing. And the few that stayed in it started going big ticket items. So I had to make that choice. And one of the guys that I had raced with, we were at a UFC fight. It was Yushin Okami versus Rich Franklin. Saturday.
I remember that fight.
So it's UFC like 40 something.
Yeah.
And this guy goes, oh, that wouldn't work. That's blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what do you know about fighting? He's like, well, I took 3 jiu-jitsu classes. Like 3 classes in. And he puts me in a straight ankle lock and taps it. Or shit. Then he puts me in what was a triangle. 3 classes.
3 class triangle.
But I had big shoulders, and I was like, okay, I want to learn that. So a couple months go by. They were training at some... You ever heard of Frank Wynn? Frank the Fraud, Arlington MMA? No? Okay. There was a guy that ran Arlington MMA. They called him Frank the Fraud Wynn. I don't know if he's still around or not. But he had a guy teaching jiu-jitsu inside of a martial arts academy, similar to what you're kind of doing. But he had a blue belt teaching it. And that guy was a nice guy. Eric's great, but he was a blue belt. He didn't really know what he was doing. But we had like 15 white belts. None of us knew what we were doing. I trained. I got dropped on my shoulder by a wrestler one time. Stopped. A couple of years go by. I go back and I started the gym I'm at. This 140-pound dude chokes me. There's nothing. Yeah, 250 pounds at the time of lifting. Think I'm in shape. In the back. Everybody's off the call. And just mercilessly murdered me. And so these guys that I were training with that were car buddies, they're like, he's going to quit. Like, because I was a fat kid. I really wasn't in shape.
Yeah.
And you're not going to stick around. So it made me want to stay more. And like the longer, it's that just never quitting, and never giving up. It just kept coming. And like those guys kind of filtered out. Some of them got their black belt. Some of them did training more. And everybody was supposed for different ways. But that was how I got into it. And but coming back to that brotherhood is what kept me there. Even when I had a falling out with my instructor at brown belt, like I was ready to go. I was now living in Irving. I was training at the other school. I was like, not happy with him personally. That's my personal relationship. But
I love these other guys.
4 of my 5 greensmen were training partners.
Yes.
And then going back to the closeness of the lover and the friend. I have a friend, his name's Anthony Cano. He owns Uppercuts Barbershop in Grand Prairie. If you need a guy to cut your hair, he's fantastic.
I don't take that up the rattle.
Yeah, I don't think you ever have to worry about. Yeah,
actually,
I went there for beard trims.
Yeah, no, I do straight razor shades.
Yeah,
I won't ever do. Yeah,
but Anthony,
Well, great plug, by the way, for you as well.
yeah.
fantastic, and he's doing some great stuff with social media. I contacted him. I was like, "Hey, you did the video." He's doing awesome stuff. We got into real estate over the last couple of years. He's doing multiple things. He's kind of building his own little, mogul empire. But why I'm going back to the story is I refied my house to pay off some tax debts that I when I first started my gym, someone said, go through this company, they don't charge processing fees. Like I did with tax, file your taxes. Don't do that. So I had to refi my house to get some of that. I took extra money out. And so I had, a chunk of change sitting in my savings account. And I'm messaging Anthony about, some real estate deal. He's like, man, I need some money to flip this house real quick. Well, I got some stuff. And he's like, well, so we worked out a deal. Like, let me borrow this money for this amount of time. I'll give you this. And my ex-wife was like, you just gave that guy $30,000. It's like, yeah. How close are you? It's like, we sweated in each other's mouth.
Right.
And it was just like,
yeah.
But I had no doubt. Like I knew I know where his business is. We had a loose contract or whatever, but I'm not worried about it.
No.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to, did you?
No. And 2 months later, he's like, hey, it's going to be a week late. Not worried about it.
Yeah.
Not worried about it. He gave it. I got my money.
Yep.
And then I had to use that money for some other funds. But just that camaraderie of I don't train with the guy. I don't talk to him every day. He was my barber for my beard for right. And I just see him every once in a while, but we just did the deal, and I was not worried about getting paid back.
Well, that's the thing I tell veterans, right? I tell my buddies to get on there. I'm like, listen,
because that's the number one thing missing when they get back.
Come on, I was hungry. I was hungry for it when I got out, right? So I was trying to find that camaraderie. I will argue with any veteran and any military member about the camaraderie. I believe the jiu-jitsu camaraderie is a lot stronger than the military camaraderie. And why do I feel like I'm young? I feel like the anchor man. Remember anchor man?
Yeah.
Why am I yelling? Why am I yelling?
That's what I feel
like, man, I am. I need to get pat. Anyways,
Do you know why?
because you told me I have to speak up because I mumble.
No, shut up. No, the why it's stronger than the military.
I think it's because we're all fighting through the same crap on the
Because we're also not traumatized at the same time on a cellular level. Like we're also not doing damage to our psyches while we're bonding. And I'm just
I see the trauma bonding. I see it.
Well, I'm talking I'm not talking about surfing. I'm talking about surfing in the violent theater.
Yeah, Brian.
You know what I mean? You're bonding, but what kind of damage psychologically are you doing in that violence? We're not doing that on the mats, but we're still bonding.
Well, we are chance that I trauma bond.
It's not like that. It's and only a martial artist would understand.
You're almost making me pass out. Oh, shut up. That's I couldn't.
I've told you a billion times to stop exaggerating. So the thing about jiu-jitsu, and this is, it's funny because I hear the stories that Rogan tells, because that's my story. Philip tells the story. I have the same story. I remember I'm a little badass. I was, as a child, there were people that would take their names off the tournament list when they saw that I was there, because I didn't kick them out of the ring. I knew how to fight. I was good at it. until I went to my first jiu-jitsu class. And nothing I knew meant anything at all.
Right.
Once they got a hold of me, you know? And so my first jiu-jitsu class was at Carlos Machado's school in Chuck Norris's movie theater.
Oh, so this is back in the early days.
Yeah, no. So on Valwood Parkway out in Carrollton, Chuck has the Amadeus studio where he was shooting the indoor stuff for Walker, Texas Ranger. And Carlos, before that, had been in a garage when he had just first gotten over there. My Uncle Bob kind of got, helped them with their immigration and everything. And Chuck's like, because he trained with him, he's like, no, come do it here. So Alan Moeller was taking his private lessons before our class.
Did his shirts have sleeves at this point?
They itch.
I love you, Coach Alan Moeller. But he just recently started wearing sleeves to tournaments.
But I remember watching him do his private lessons with Carlos, and then our class would start. And on any given class, Guy Metzger, Trey Telligman, these guys were in
old school.
Yeah, these guys were in and I'm a 25-year-old kid. I was 21, 22. And I'm trying to roll, and I'm only there because my daddy's Pat Burleson. I'm nobody special. And so, but I got to ride on his coattails and come do the class. And I remember thinking, nothing I know matters at this point. Now
the whole Joe Rogan thing is what does jiu-jitsu give you? I can literally kill you, and there's nothing you can do.
Nothing. There's nothing.
Because I get people that come in and they're like, I want to learn for self-defense. I'm like, yeah, that gets boring after a year, so you don't need self-defense.
Well, that's
2 years maybe.
That's the thing, Nate. I realize
it's an untrained person.
That now, 6 months in, I'm better than anybody who hasn't done jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Like you're playing with a child. Now, granted, if you also have 6 months jiu-jitsu, it's crap.
But if you're starting to fight someone and you get another hook and then they pummel and come up, you're like, whoa, you train?
Right. Yeah. Okay, I changed my. Let's talk this out.
Wait, what rank are you?
Right.
All right, let's talk.
Yeah.
And so what got you, other than the camaraderie, did you do any martial arts before? No, it's
You're 100% pure jiu-jitsu, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's all.
So back when I was a purple belt, I was semi-competitive locally. I won't even say I was competitive purple belt. I was, good God, competitive belts are, that's a whole other story.
So, hold on, competitive belts.
Yeah, Jimmy's the computer.
No, well, I go out there, I'm not computer, but is there a difference? It's it's still all the same color, right? When you say competitive belts, explain.
So let me tell my story about competitive belts. So I was purple belt. The movie Warrior came out. And I was like, I'm a decent purple belt. I want to take one fight. I'm going to go take some striking. I went to one class, got punched in the face, and was like, man, I have no desire to get in the cage and all. And I've trained with guys that fight, and more power to them. All right, going back to competitive.
Yeah.
A competitive adult level. I won't say masters because masters is age 30.
Masters 4.
A competitive purple belt will mop the floor like someone that medals at the 4 makers, Pan Am's World, something like that.
Okay.
A competitive purple belt will mop the floor with 99.9% of the people in DFW right now, including all the black belts. A competitive blue belt will dominate me right now, especially with my arm. Similar way. Yes.
Well, let's say your arm was good. Would you still think?
I think a competitive blue belt would probably beat me. If I took a camp and actually had some cardio and trained, yeah.
Really?
The level of these guys are...
Is it for... Now... Are you factoring in sandbagging or no? Is that
just because everybody in the competitive
is sandbagging?
So I'm on Reddit a lot, and what do you call the best blue belt in the world? Purple belt. So it's so part of what happens at these big tournaments is everybody wants to win, so everybody wants to underpromise, over-deliver. Guys, that's the same thing in work. Nobody wants an extreme forecast because they want to hit the thing. Everybody likes the easy wins.
Right.
But you also have these big teams like Alliance, Autos, Gracie Baja that got these 2 guys that are at the top of the pyramid. The top 4 guys in a weight class in jiu-jitsu are head and shoulders above 6 through 10. Usually, this is how it tends to work. 1 and 2 are probably the 2 best. Yeah, you could pencil them into the finals. They're going to win. So like Caio Terra, my old coach, and Bruno Malsafini, I think fought 10 or 11 times in the finals in a ring. So the top 2 or 3 guys are head and shoulders above 6 through 10. Yeah. 6 through 10 can sneak a win every once in a while. 11 through 15, 20 doesn't have a chance against 1 through 3. doesn't have a chance. That's how much the top of the pyramid is. So these big teams like Alliance and Atos have these 2 guys, and then Alliance has got 2 guys. So there's these 4 or 5 guys, and then they got these brown belts that are 22 or 23 coming out of Brazil that have been training since they were 8 months old. And you'll never hear about these guys, and then they'll show up like, who is that dude? He won Worlds 3 years ago. So I have a couple stories coming up. So like my last match of brown belt was against an 80cc veteran named Jared Doff. I'm a great problem. Fantastic guy. I love you, Jared. If you see this, I don't know why you watch it. But him, he played football, had scholarship. His abs have abs. Yeah, kind of guy. And I, had food poisoning going into the Houston Open. Right. Had Jared Dopp in the first round. Luckily, I've known him since at this time. He's a Lobato brown belt at the time, and he's rolling cap slicer. He's cool. Yeah, it's great. I'm out of gut. And so you got all these competitive guys that are just at different levels. Yeah, they're just ready to come up, and and he went. I think he's got like an electrical engineering, chemical engineering, phenomenal, smart dude on top of this. And he wasn't training full time. And so he started to get caught up on by certain guys, like there's a guy named Max Jimenez. And what I remember is Nicholas Mirigali. If you know competitive jiu-jitsu, he's at the top of the elite pyramid right now. Like he is one step under Gordon. So I was at Pan Am's, I was at Purple Belt because my buddy Ryan was there, who was him and Dopp were like coming up. Ryan was 6'5", he's a local black belt. Abs have abs. He was my main training partner. Beat the shit out of me. Like he's a firefighter that owns no TV and works out. And and he was a walk-on D1 football player. That's my main training. Oh, he's no TV. So like he's fighting. He's on that Dopp level, and I'm just the also ran. Like my last tournament, it was Dopp and Ryan. Ryan medaled at adult purple belt, which is this competitive thing we're about to talk about. Yeah, twice. He lost to Max Jimenez, and he lost to Jared, I think, one. And these guys are black belt, elite level competitors. Right. And so I was like, I don't belong up here with these 2 guys. And then the other guy that was on the podium with us, he submitted, I think, 7 people in a row at Blue Belt Worlds with the same loop choke, putting them unconscious. Wow. I was like, where's the financial analyst? Right. So that was kind of the end of my competitive career. Going back, like I've rolled with who's who jiu-jitsu people outside of Marcelo is probably the only one on the Mount Rushmore and I got to roll. Right. Like Uchecha, Hodger, all those guys. But the level of competitive jiu-jitsu is just so different. Roberto Jimenez is another kid. When I call him a kid, I've known him since he was 14. Yeah. When he was 14 or 13, he was an orange belt. He came and visited for Houston, and I could roll to beat him up. I was a purple belt at the time. Came back at 15, he was a green belt, and it was a stalemate. I'm 27 years old at this time. Okay. Years old. I'm a man. He is 15. Wow. It was a stalemate. Comes back 6 months later, takes my back. There's nothing I can do about it. Wow. Comes back 6 months later. I'm a brown belt. He's a blue belt. Yeah. Teenage blue belt. Chokes me mercilessly 5 or 6 times. Wow. He goes in double golds at purple belt adult. And then he gets brown belt. Now he's at the elite level. And this kid at 16, when I was a decent brown belt. Right. Obvious decent brown belt. Yeah, 29, 30 years old. Right. Working out 200 pounds, not what you see here. And there was just nothing I could do about it. And so, my old coach's coach was Bruno Bastos. He, medaled in adult Pan Ams and things like that. He's a legend. He has his own rash guard. Like, he brought up these kids from Brazil for a training camp. What's his name? Isaac. Can't remember his last name. Barazi. He's an Alliance black belt. He's won an adult. And then the other one, I can't remember his purple belt. He won worlds at black belt. And so, like, these are kids he brought up to 15, 16. Yeah. And I was a blue and purple belt at the time, and he brought them from Pan's camp, and they were just demolishing me as a grown man. Yeah. And so you have these kids from Brazil going back to Nicholas Mirigali. Dopp fought him at Pan Am's for the first time, and he beat him. Edwin Najmi, another top elite black belt. Flying triangle Mirigali, that was his only loss at purple belt. He double golded it, all the rest, but no one knew about Nicholas. He was down in Brazil. And then he came up, double golded everything, brown belt, ran through everything, black belt. So when people go, I want to be a world champion, I'm like, where are you? Yeah. So that competitive sandbagging.
I forget his last name.
Keenan. Oh, God. Keenan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why can I not remember his last name?
It was years ago, but he was at the top of his game.
He was the first guy that really got famous. Well, I guess Ryan Hall was before him. It goes back to the Lloyd working. Yeah. Ryan Hall was the first colored belt that started to make noise, and then Keenan became kind of that poster child for that.
So the guy that did that picture, Dad, that is a guy named Tom Calvins, who's also a jiu-jitsu black belt.
He was Keenan's stepdad, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I know the
So Tom had a school in Hilo, Hawaii, and he was BJ Penn's first jiu-jitsu class.
Which is so sad to see what's happening to BJ Penn right now.
But the thing is so my instructor, Hanchi Kovar, which, it's if you do martial arts long enough, you end up eroding. You lose your instructor. Either they shut their school down or they die or whatever.
I mean, life happens.
Yeah. Sometimes there's bad blood or whatever. But if you train long enough, you have to end up picking somebody else to train, right? And when I lost Dad, he didn't leave a real clear chain of command of who was going to run his karate empire.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was kind of glad about that because I didn't know who I would go to. Right. So I'm glad I wasn't left instructions. So I went to Dave Kovar, who is a 5th degree under Pedro Sauer.
Okay.
He has 10 black belts in 10 different styles. He's a weapons, Filipino Kali, Taekwondo, Kempo, like just everything. He's a walking encyclopedia. He's the kind of guy that you look at, you're like, that's a black belt. I don't think I am one, right? And he says this all the time. He goes, there's no excuse for the karate guys not to cross train. At some point, you had to do whatever was up the street. Like whatever was close by, that's the martial art you got to do. Back in the 70s and the 80s, you didn't have the options you did. And there's a jiu-jitsu school everywhere now.
Oh, yeah.
There's no reason.
There was 2 in Arlington when I started. And now I have 3 friends that I started training with that have schools in Arlington on top of those schools.
Yeah. There's no excuse not to do it other than fear. That's it.
And that ego. The ego is
which is based in fear, I think.
Oh, yeah. Because, I'm still coming back from the shoulder surgery. And at best, I can handle an average purple belt.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
You just can't, it's like, my arm could just go there. I could get to it.
And it needs to go there.
Yeah, it does a lot. But the ego, of just realizing that, and I'm 41, I'm getting older, it's slowing down, but at the same time, I still have a lot of things that I teach you.
Of course.
And the camaraderie and the coaching and the mentorship, I've kind of stepped more into.
And core stuff.
Right. Both you guys are school over, so let me ask you this. How many times have you seen ego, someone will walk on the mats, and then just get absolutely smashed and then never come back?
Oh, God.
Countless.
It doesn't happen as often.
You're right. It is starting to ebb away.
It's I'll say this. When a person comes in, I always try and talk to them before they get on the mat. Because I want to get to know what are they there for.
Smart.
And this is one of the things that Nick Holowski, because he came in for California was shut down, Kyle and Nick came and did a little tour of all their affiliates because they couldn't train. People were tattling.
Right.
Oh, they were because they were training with papered windows and be like, hey, come in the back door, speak.
Right.
Someone tattled. So they were going to get hit with a $10,000 a day fine. Jeez. Oh, something. So anyway, they took a tour of, Texas didn't.
Texas, yeah.
So they're like, hey, we're going to come visit. And so cool. And so Nick came and he saw what I was doing. And I had a trial student that night. And he's like, tell me about it. Oh, he's blah, 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 blah. He goes, okay, you're doing fantastic. And he got onto the other local affiliate because he wasn't doing some of those things. Hey, you need to be better about that. And it's just something I've naturally done. I try and make that connection with the person.
Yeah.
Anytime someone walks in for class, first class, last class, whatever, hey, it's good to see you. Trying to talk to everybody every night, at least greet them.
Yeah.
But going back to, I try to talk to the person. I know within the first 5 minutes whether you're going to sign up or not.
Yep.
Really?
Oh, easily.
What are the tell signs of someone going to sign up or not sign up?
Which one?
Both. Yeah, either one.
Pick one and I'll tell you.
Let's go not sign up.
Not sign up. Cocky. Oh, I did this. I want to say a lot of former athletes.
They keep a list of their resume.
Oh, I played football and I did this and blah, blah, blah. And the running joke in jiu-jitsu is autism and steroids. So a little bit of that ADHD or spectrum type thing, if they're a little more calm and subdued, introverted, that tends to be the jiu-jitsu person. We're all a little awkward. If you're outgoing, gregarious, have vibes, blah, 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 then usually you're the ex-athlete.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is so humbling at the beginning. They can't tip that ego shot. They can't take that this nerdy guy that's 40 pounds lighter than me and, dad bod can hold me down. There's nothing.
It has a hard time talking to girls. Yeah, exactly.
But if they come in
with me
and they're just a little awkward and they're just a little, socially just kind of don't make eye contact, it's usually because they don't have that going back to the camaraderie, that friendship, just that ability. And there's some people that just want to come in and train and leave and are fairly normal. I've got a couple of, I call them normies, a couple of normal, like, man, he's doesn't fit in. He's normal.
Like it does. That's funny. Yeah.
But there's guys that just want to come in and train.
Sure.
And then there's the people that I get closer with are obviously the more in tune, the more introverted, which I'm a very big introvert, which people are like, how? Like, I don't like talking to people. We talked it's like the podcast. Especially when I have like a trial class or a bunch of people, or if like people are visiting, I feel like I'm on stage.
You are. Oh, you are. That's why you feel that way.
And then like I get home, I just like get in my truck and I'm just
So have you ever heard of the term introverted extrovert?
yeah. Okay. I've said that about myself.
Okay, so that's an actual thing. It's an actual thing, and I didn't know until I was in my 40s.
That TikTok, Reels, and Instagram have taught me more about my mental health. ADHD.
I know.
40 years of being alive.
Well, I didn't understand why I hit a wall about 9 or 10 o'clock, and you don't get anything from me at that point. Like, I don't care how much I love you. I'm not talking to you. I have nothing left.
Yeah.
Because I'm incredibly outgoing, but I'm using all my own steam. I don't feed off other people's energy. So Nikki knows that when I hit that wall, I will hurt your feelings.
Oh, yeah.
Like because I can't. I don't have the. I'm done. It's like crap.
I don't know if you're like me. Like I feel like I have to respond. I can't have a text that I respond.
Yeah. Because I feel like it's rude.
Yes. So, but like I got to one point with a friend that she kept like mental gymnastics to tell her, But I finally just said, look, I don't have the bandwidth to do it.
He uses the word bandwidth.
I just don't have it tonight. I don't have it tonight. And she's like, what? I was like, no. And so like we didn't talk for months.
Yeah.
Because I just hurt her feelings.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you're gonna continue to make stupid decisions, I'm not gonna be and it's like and I was like, man, that was hard.
Dude, but you know why Chance and I get along so well together? Because we're both kind of low maintenance for each other. Like if Chance calls me,
You need a lot
know.
from me. Well, because I would never reach out and need anything from you unless I needed something.
Yeah.
So when you actually call, I'm picking it up. Now we'll text and stuff, we'll sit there or whatever for a bit, but like if Chance calls, I'm like, okay.
It's like we never want to be a burden to someone else.
Right.
And so like I've got a couch that I got from Bloss's in-laws. And we moved it, and like me and the girl I'm dating, I have a bad shoulder. She has a bad shoulder, and it's one of those couches you plug in. Not light, not going through a door easy.
Right.
So I just put it in my garage. It's been there for 2 weeks. I just haven't had He just calls somebody from the gym to come. I'm like,
There you go. Hey guys, listen.
yeah, it's like
anyone from the gym.
But we don't want to be that burden. We don't want to do that. And
Well, so you go out and talk to everybody. So one of the things that I would like to think sets me apart, and this is one of the reasons I hit a wall at 9 or 10 o'clock, is every single night when I'm here, I go around and interact with every family on the bench. I do it every single night.
I'm trying to talk to all the parents, their kids' class, things like that.
So one of the best compliments, and I will not name the very famous large chain karate school that is in the area.
Sounds like a premier school.
That I didn't stake that past him at all. And so we had
I've been around, man.
Yeah, we had a student that did their 6-month contract over there and then came to try ours after the contract, and they stayed with me for 5 or 6 years. Mm-hmm. And I was dying, Nate. I was dying to ask them why they came to my school and left that school. But I know better, right? My mom raised me, right? I didn't ask them.
See, I'm flat out asked. Well, Carol, why'd you leave?
I knew that they would eventually tell me. So I was waiting. And he's like, there's a lot of differences here. I'm like, really? Shut up. And I got maybe the greatest compliment that I've ever gotten in my entire life. And he said, you know what the main difference is? He goes, have you ever been to, Faglielli's or whatever? And I hadn't, but apparently they were from Grapevine. And it's this old New York style mom and pop Italian restaurant that has like 6-month in advance waiting list reservations. And when you go in there, the guy that owns it comes out with the apron and the towel and asks about Lisa's college education, knows everybody that comes in there, right? And he said, this place is like that. That place is like Olive Garden. He said, now here's the thing, that's not an insult. A lot of people would rather go to Olive Garden.
Yeah.
A lot of people would prefer that, it's just authentic enough to make me feel like I'm, what I mean? But it's not. It's a chain.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless.
Right.
Stability.
Yeah, shush. And I thought, okay, is that
Well done.
It's like both people are creating a quality experience, but the people who want that specific thing will come here.
Yes.
And people that
And it's boutique versus repeatability.
Yes.
Who sells the most hamburgers in the world?
Right.
McDonald's, because you go to McDonald's in Plano,
Right.
Allen, Missouri, all going to be
Right.
McDonald's.
And I don't want that.
Yeah.
And but I also
That's been one of the reasons I've never marketed and I say I'm afraid of growing too fast, but I don't want to lose the culture. Because culture is so important.
So speaking of culture then, I mean, do you have students, not black belts, right? Because Nikki's a black belt, you have other, like students that are on the mats that you kind of gravitate towards as your star student, if you
No.
and say, go talk, like,
Yes.
So those are
like, go talk.
they're resources. I don't think of them as stars.
right.
They're an additional resource.
Okay,
Yeah, because I move them towards the shyer, more intimidated, newer people because I want those relationships. The thing is, you can't force a relationship to happen, but you can facilitate it.
Yeah.
And
That's a good way of saying it, by the way. Resource.
Yeah,
Not star student, but resource.
Yeah, like I don't like Bloss. I always go like is like a general for me.
yes,
Like a four-star general. I've got lieutenants and sergeants or whatever. I have no idea the ranking.
Yeah. You're doing all right.
Okay. And so like those people like that I know, like I trust, okay, that's a purple belt. He can go work with that big white belt.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I know that he works in computer engineering. He's like
exactly.
by knowing your students, knowing your people.
Yes.
That's so important versus some of the bigger affiliate schools in the area. They have instructors that are going between multiple schools. They only teach 2 classes here. And that's wrong, right, or indifferent. Sure. They have more students than me. They make more money than me. They have better competitors, whatever. I don't really care. But you're not going to get that. Like I have a guy that came in that I haven't seen in a while. He just had a baby. And he was telling me about a work thing that happened. He works with high voltage electricity, got called in a J box and almost died. And like he just had a baby, near death experience, had been on the mat. Yeah. And I was like, man, I'm just so happy to be alive. And like me to share that conversation with him, like, man, we're glad like you're okay. And
Yeah.
that's good. And like I have a student that on the Weedify thing, he's a Weedify guy.
Yeah.
I wasn't Weedify because I just Weedify him now.
Okay.
Because I just never. You're like, are you Weedify? I was like, I'm not against it. I just, I never went through it. He goes, and he was a student with me for years, and he was using the Weedify to cross train another gym locally, and then he lost his job with the Doge thing. We won't get into politics and all that. And he's like, I can't afford to train here. I was like, man, keep training. Like, he goes, well, maybe I can move the Weedify over here if you get Weedify certified. And I was like, oh, yeah, I can do that. I was like, yeah, cool. And so we got all that.
That makes my heart happy.
Yeah, it's like, that's how I even got, was it Froziness, Justin? Justin and somebody else came in.
Yeah.
And so I was like, they're like, would you? I was like, yeah, I have no problems with like, sure, I like giving back to the community. I like veterans discount and all things to, give back. And so, yeah.
I don't mind having a high active student count as long as I can retain my niche market.
Yeah.
I want to be a boutique school. You know,
I don't want to be a chain because
it
I can't
break my heart to be a 400 student boutique school.
Sure.
And mainly one of the reasons why is because I don't have any team members that are not grown children from my school. Like I've never had to hire an instructor that I didn't raise from the beginning. So I know these people. They're, they grew up around me.
So outside of Chris Gray, where I gave him his black belt a couple years ago, but we knew each other coming up through the ranks. I went to open mats at the gym and taught it. Bloss, he came in as a purple belt, but the majority of my higher ranks, I've given most of their belts to. My Friday night guy, he was got a blue belt when he started. We get to know those guys and who you trust, and
I think it
organically.
I think it would be harder to do in jiu-jitsu because the ranking system is so long.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna inherit blue belts and brown belts and purple belts from other styles because people move. Man,
Well, people. There's a conversation right. Why do so many blue belts quit? How many hobbies have you taken up and quit?
Right.
For a year or two.
Right.
And so blue belt takes a year to 2 years.
Right.
And then on top of that, life happens. So usually people that start jiu-jitsu, if they start in their young mid-20s or in their 30s, two very different. Mid-20s, those are the blue belts.
He thought I started in the 30s. Like, you're so great.
Jimmy.
How old do you think? I'm so big. Not that old. 45.
told the young guy here at 41.
Yes.
I'm definitely.
But I appreciate you saying I'm 30.
Most start in their 30s. Like those are, you have usually kids and disposable income. You're who I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the 22-year-old who's going to be a stud.
No.
Because they don't have money. They're inconsistent.
And they
get a girlfriend
That
and they
makes sense,
disappear.
too.
Yeah. That makes
Not
sense.
always. Not always. I have some fantastic. I've got a kid that trains with me and trains in another gym. This goes back to the egos. And he's like, can I cross train? I was like, I don't care who you compete on.
Right. At all.
This is about you.
Yeah,
It's best
yeah.
for you.
Yeah. That's awesome, though.
Well, you know how I feel about it. You've got at least 2 of mine that I raised.
Jeremy and Miles.
3 of mine.
Who else do I have? Oh, Liam too. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got 3 of my people that I raised from a white belt. They never did. I mean, Jeremy was ex-military, but like Niles is a banker. Like he never
whip your tail.
He never choked, punched, or kicked anybody once in his life before he met me. And look at him now.
Yes,
He's really great.
incredible.
But
in a good way.
But Philip and Greg also have 3 or 4 of my people.
Yeah.
My goal is not to hoard tuition. My goal is to open their minds to what the world of martial arts is and for them to find their true love in it. Now, it happens that most of it is jiu-jitsu. Most of them in my school, which is a sampler platter.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the Tour of Italy. Olive Garden reference.
I like that.
So,
The possibility.
yeah.
The possibilities. Well done, Nick.
So, they will learn enough to be maybe a 2 or 3 stripe white belt by the time they get a black belt here. But that's enough jujitsu to decide if you love jujitsu.
Yeah.
A lot of them discover that they love Kali, like Andu. Andu loves jujitsu, but his body is fit.
Also trained with me for a little bit.
Did he?
Niles and him came in.
Yeah.
And then he hurt his elbow.
He can't do it. He just can't.
I think we're
do
still
it.
Facebook friends.
Yeah, no, Andu's amazing.
Oh, he's awesome.
But he fell in love with Kali, so he met my Kali teacher, and now he trains Kali with my Kali teacher. And so I'm wanting to try to create lifelong martial artists. I know that people's lives will be improved. I don't give a shit where they go.
Yeah, bro.
I don't care whether they stay with me or go somewhere else. I prefer that they go somewhere good.
Yeah. I had a trial person call me and they're like, hey, I looked at all these schools, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, who else have you called? I'm like, this, and this. I was like, don't go to that third one. I was like, he goes, I go, there are better jiu-jitsu schools. Even if you don't sign with me, I want you to find someone that you're happy.
Right.
I don't have the ego that have to.
Right.
I would love for you to. I would like to make more money. Believe me, I'm not trying to.
Right.
But I also know that I'm not for everybody. I had a guy, his name's Joshua Meredith, fantastic competitor, wrestler.
See, Joshua and I are our friend. We met
Joshua?
Of course I do.
God, that kid is a monster.
Yeah.
And he's like, he wanted to be competitive and go back to hurting people because he was like 220 pounds, abs, and he just went hard. And older dads were like, hey, we don't want to do this ever. And so it got to the point where he was competing locally a lot. And then we had a conversation after a tournament. He's like, I think I need more. I didn't have the horses. I'm like, I have the horses to push you at the time.
When he wrestled since he was 12 years old. So
He just was a monster. And so he ended up going to
the snow, right?
No, he went to Marcus Antelante.
Okay.
And he ended up getting his black belt.
He did just this last year.
And fought MMA. And he came back as a brown belt. He's like, Coach, you want to roll? I'm like, no.
It's just cool.
And he was phenomenal, great. He was kind, like
Can't even tell you I was like, don't want to roll.
yeah. But just like going back, he was like, I was the gym that got him started.
Yeah.
But I wasn't the gym that took him to the
Right.
And that's fine. I'm okay with that because I know that he needed that.
Oh, so I didn't know Josh started with you.
Yeah, he was my morning instructor for a while,
Oh, that's cool.
which is fantastic.
Yeah, Josh and I have known each other for years.
Yeah, great dude. And he brought his buddy Alfonso, if you know him. He's this like mythical beast in DFWs. So he's Tongan. I think he's 5'9", he's like 265 pounds. But he wrestled.
Oh,
I say wrestled, 2-time state runner-up.
yeah.
And that guy at 5'6", 260 can do like front handsprings, like down the mat.
Whoa.
And his hands, I swear to God, he can ball in basketball. Like he is built like the Hulk. And he's strong, he's fast, and should not move that fast. I had a purple belt
But he does.
named Mike, and it was his first class. So first off, Travis Clark, All-American MMA, wrestling coach and trainer, he sends me a message. I got this little guy who's going to come in and try class. In walks Alfonso. not little. And so he's like, he's got some wrestling, and I've taught him a couple moves, and he knew Kimura, and that was it. That's still his move to this day.
Really?
And so I was like, all right, Mike, go roll with him. Mike's 6'5", 270, ex-Marine, machine gun. Like, he carried a machine gun. He's a big dude. And Alfonso shoots it. He sprints. He's got his hips down. And I see Alfonso get underneath him and pick him up. And Mike's looking at me as he's getting him down. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So I got this huge monster of a kid, and he doesn't know anything
At all.
And we're rolling, and I kind of let him work, and he gets past, and I grab my belt, and he grabs Kimura and picks me up off the mat, and I'm dangling. I'm like, let's talk for a minute. Let's talk. So I had this guy, and he was with me for a while. And then I was like, again, with Joshua, I was like, I don't have the physical people to deal with someone of your size and speed. And he would work slow, but he's not getting pushed. And so he eventually kind of got back with Travis, that is also elite level wrestler, huge magnitude.
He's supposed to have, I still have a schedule. It wasn't in the podcast.
Is he?
Travis is the podcast.
Love trying to have him, yeah.
But he's just a monster. There's about 2 or 3 people that could put Alfonso on his ass, and he's one of those.
Yeah.
Like, and so,
I
but
rolled with Travis. Travis. No, Travis. So, I mean, everyone knows my hips are all jacked up anyway. But he just, as soon as I fell off or do something, he just picked me back up. And he kept working. I was like, this guy just picked me up like I was nothing.
yeah. But then that's what it's like rolling, going back to the Alfonso, is like he's this mythical beast. People in my gym know him because he comes in, he'll show up like 2 Saturdays a month, disappear for 3 months. And like, I think I made 20 bucks off him. I've been charging the train for the last couple of years because he's not technically my student.
Right.
Kind of went under Moeller, kind of like he's a Ronin.
Yeah.
Because he's just a man, like he's just this mythical beast. And when he walks in, people look at him.
Yeah.
Because he's just got these huge hands. He's so strong, and he just picks people up, like you said. Like, like we were rolling one time, and he just grabbed this dude that was 270 pounds, picked him up by his gi, and moved him over here, and like just was still talking.
And who'd you earn your black belt under?
His name is Danny Alvarez. Alvarez Jiu-Jitsu in Arlington.
In Arlington, yeah.
I had one of my parents, her and her husband were blue or purple belts over at Alvarez, and their daughter just got her black belt with me. It's Shane Curtis and her husband, Eric Curtis. Well, that is from years ago.
Well, I mean, I was there for when I was 26 until I was 31 or 32, 33 maybe. So I got my black belt. And then, there was a falling out, and I don't want to get into that.
Sure.
No reason. Well, how long you been? So you've been doing jiu-jitsu now for what? About 16.
I was going to say, I'm 8 years as a black belt. It'll be 9 this year. So I'll be up for my 3rd stripe, which is lost. Like, who are you training under? That's the not being affiliated. I'm like, I'm not currently.
Yeah. So is that, you said you would, obviously have to train under somebody before you get your next rank?
Yeah. And I have no idea how karate does or any other martial art.
Probably like jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu is time served after black belt.
Mm-hmm.
So at 9 years, I'm eligible for my 3rd stripe.
So would you get their start?
Right now, I mean, I could give it to myself, and that's what, like, I have a brown belt in Tim and Boss. Like, just give it to yourself. Who's going to care? It's a time served thing. But I don't want to do that. So, and I'm trying to figure out my next steps. As my shoulder gets back in the shape, what do I got to do? Who do I want to kind of affiliate with? And, like, I've had conversations. There was a guy named Ratinho Tobio Kuto. He was a 5th degree black belt. Phenomenal guy. He was Fabricio Verdum's coach at one point. My buddy Mark, who owns Wolverine Jiu-Jitsu out in Rockwall, was his coach. He was at Octagon MMA. He was the guy that just did not give a shit about affiliations. He didn't care. I'm Octavio Kuto. I think he was a 6th degree when he passed away. Passed away about a year or 2 ago, and that was kind of my fallback plan, because anytime I went to train with Octavio at Octagon, he's like, so good to see you again, my friend, because I competed against one of his guys at purple belt. And then after I ended up winning that match, I came to an open mat just to train with him again. And he's like, it's so good to see
you. Chemistry, everything, yeah.
And he's like, it's so good, like, because that happens, especially more masters than it does as an adult. After you compete, you become friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
And so we became friends. He's like, so good to see that after the tournament versus the adults to me.
So
So they used to make fun of me when I would compete, especially when I was in master. Like, you go over there having a picnic with the dude. We're going to beers after this. It's not that serious.
We're not actually enemies, right? Yeah.
So I've won. So my old instructor was very serious about competing. He competes a lot. And he always wanted to push. And I didn't like competing, but I did it because everybody else did. And I wanted to be part of it. But I didn't take it serious. Like I tried, but I didn't take it serious to the point where we were doing Pans Camp and he had all these people in, and it's a Saturday, and we're all paying to be here. And people are going up, throwing up outside. It's heated build, or it's a metal building in July. Well, everybody was, it's like, it's so hot. People are throwing up, and I'm just done. Like, I worked all week, and fight with the wife, blah, blah. He's like, you don't want to be a champion bad enough. And I said, nope. He said, get off the mat. All right, cool. And I was like, so
That's all I need.
I know I don't have that dog like me to have that competitor to go that length. So it's just.
Well, Ben, as we wind this episode out, by the way, thanks for, I appreciate you coming, man.
Well, I asked
Let me ask you, before I ask this question, it's almost 3 days from now. It's been 1 year since we dropped our first episode.
Real.
A year ago.
So they sitting at home in a sling with just metal shoulder.
Yeah, a year.
I'm still baffled why anybody would watch or listen.
We have about between YouTube and the Spotify, probably about 2,000. Really?
Yeah.
It's just so stupid.
Yeah, I know.
I got on a couple of podcasts, like through Reddit.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah.
Hey, Mom, thanks for watching 2,000 episodes.
Hey, Miriam, thanks for
watching.
So if any of my students who watch this know that I do appreciate you all.
Yeah. I was going to ask. That's what I was going to ask. What do you see the future of Sloth? What is your vision?
I got asked that by boss. Keep coming back to this guy.
Yeah.
It's always in my ear.
Oh, that's why you're wearing the Special Pumpkins t-shirt, by the way.
It's not. It actually has a picture of Nicolas Cage.
Oh, let me see. Just
I did not even notice that.
I didn't watch it either.
So the future of Sloth, I got asked that. And so my philosophy, I've been flying by the seat of my pants for the last 8 years now, as far as running a jiu-jitsu school. I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
It's kind of like, hey, we got classes, we got a website. All right, let's come up with it. So what happens? Yeah. I've never put any effort to growth. So right now, a lot of the last year was getting systems in place because I can't be in every class. Boss can't be in every class. How do we have that? So we have everybody that labs, right? Get the right systems behind the scene. I didn't realize how much the website mattered.
It does.
I got a new website, and my lead capture, or just people I'm talking to, went from like 3 or 4 a month to like 15 or 20 the first 12 days of this month.
Wow.
That's great. What part of that is also just March and Bob? Sure. I don't know. So the future, as far as the future of Sloth, I want to grow my student base so I can get into a bigger space that has multiple rooms. Because right now, my biggest problem is I can't run multiple classes at the same time. So I literally have like 5 to about 8 o'clock. And after 8 o'clock, all right, goes to bed. Before 5, people can't get there. Right. So 5 to 8. And then, I can't run enough kids class, or I can't have a basic and an advanced class. Right. And then on top of that, still get to what I need to. Right. So grow into my own building that has, it'd be nice to have multiple bathrooms and maybe a shower. Right. So my goal is to grow enough that I can afford to move and build the gym I want.
Right.
And also pay the people that are helping me. Because, I've got people covering classes, you give your tuition breaks, sure, things like that. But I want to have more classes that I physically cannot be there. I've got my day job, and I'll never leave my day job just because I need insurance and all that.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to rely on martial arts school. I'm too risk averse.
Yeah. My whole life.
Yeah, you've done it all life. So I want to have that to where I don't want to say pay mercenaries because they're not that. Pay people to cover things. And I've got people that are coming up that want to teach and just have more classes. So I want to offer more. And going back to what Blas says, selfishly, I want more training partners for everybody too.
Yeah.
I would like to make $1 billion. That's not going to happen. Right. Sure. I would like to make enough money to pay off my debts, pay my mortgage, and not worry about whether I get Starbucks. Like, I don't need to make $1 million. I want to make a little bit more.
Yeah.
And have my daughter's college paid for.
That's exactly. Yep.
So grow the gym for the student base. I don't even care about me. But
yeah, that's really
my one goal was to eventually buy the building that I'm renting. That way I become the owner of the building. I'm paying myself rent. I'm investing in the building. Yeah. So if something breaks, it's not like I just dropped 10 grand.
Yeah.
HVAC, then I don't see the benefit.
Right. So as a business owner, the martial arts business owner, what encouragement do you have for Nate here?
Well, what I was about to say
Is that all of those things that you talked about are all very achievable. These are not like, I hope I hit this, 6 numbers on that, on that lottery ticket. Like that's the odds of being able to pull that off are very high. And this is one of the reasons why he put me in Hanshi's back pocket. So Bloss has come to the Kovar system saying that the event that we have here at our school, and it's a business conference of basically how do you run a successful martial arts school, whether it's, boxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu, karate, whatever.
Going back to like everybody went to that Lloyd Irvin stuff, it became high pressure sales.
Right.
Everything in jiu-jitsu went to that.
Yeah, and this is not that.
And yeah,
So you know what?
I went the opposite way.
Do you know what the key to doing good business is? Do good business.
Yeah.
Right? Do business in a way where you as a consumer would rehire someone like you. And he said, and Hanshi has a rule. He said that we have to, and we can't get this wrong, right? We have to be martial artists first, teachers second, and business people third. If we get the order confused, we lose the soul of the school.
Yep. And I saw that the business became first.
It can't be first.
Yeah.
It has to be important, but
That's where I
third.
struggle.
Third most important.
Sometimes
Yeah,
forward.
I know.
I was telling the guy, and he's like, I really wanted him. He was ex-Marine, just a great guy. And he was like, I can't really afford him. I was like,
Right.
man, it's like it's like,
Right.
I'm a terrible businessman
Yeah.
making money, especially because you become friends with these people.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you're on credit card.
Right.
Declined.
I mean,
I hate
it's been the hardest thing about being in business.
Yeah. But I've gotten better about it.
Yeah.
And so going back to, I have a student that he's been on and off with me 6-7 years. Great guy to have around. He lost his job recently. And I was like, he had been training, he had some neck issues. And he came back and I was like, I'm coming back. He's like, I'm on a job right. I don't care. I was like, I know you'll get what you get. And so he's come back, he's got a job, and he was looking at starting his own business and all these things. And he's like, I've been looking at how to get money and build a business, and I want to invest in Sloth, going back to, I needed this, ex-military. I needed this for my mental health. He was sitting at home, no job, not having it to survive, all these things. And like just being able to have him come in was more important to me than making $100 tracking for a month or two. Like I know long term that he's going to put his effort into making sure when that new person comes in that they got everything he got. And so it's that pay it forward mentality, be doing good. I can't do good in business without doing good first.
Right.
And so part of that also is investing in myself, going back into the gym and getting the shoulder reps and rolling more. Because people are like, for most of the last year, I've been off the mat or on the mat, not really rolling, kind of just coaching. And like they missed that. So I'm trying to get more and more rolling. Yeah, when I can. My shoulder allows me.
Well, brother, I wish you nothing but success at Sloth BJJ because I love the guys over there too. And I dropped in. I don't know if I dropped in once or twice.
I think it's just once. Yeah,
and you guys just beat that.
And I've got I want a great relationship. I have a good relationship, I think, with your coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like I've talked to Greg several times at tournaments. We've messaged before. Flip, I remember he was we were in a tournament and he had a student that didn't have a belt. So I yanked one off of one of my competitors. I was like, just bring it back next week. He's like, yeah. And so me and Flip have a good relationship too. Yeah.
We don't have competitors. We just have colleagues. There are actually not enough great schools.
Yeah.
There are too many people for us to serve. We need more of us.
It took a little while for my ego to handle the people leaving. It's like, it's not always about me.
No, so it's never.
I lost a family that I absolutely adore. Hope y'all are doing well. They went to a different school because they were able to run kids class, adult class, same time, get their kid to bed versus they get them home at the time. It's a timing thing. It's like, okay, so it's not about mine.
No.
Sometimes it may be about my jiu-jitsu and my instruction. That's fine as well. I'm not for everybody. And that, once I kind of set that ego aside and just what's best I try to think of it like my kids. When I want them to work, what's best for my daughter?
Yep.
And what's best for this individual person? If it's to be a competitor in a different school or they live here and they're driving too far, it's okay. I'm going to be fine. Yeah. I want to say I'll replace you with someone else, but I will get someone to get the rabbit in. I'm going to be made whole.
Yep.
I want what's best for you. Yeah. Well, that's right.
We need to have him tonight. Absolutely, man, because we barely touched this. I know, man. Absolutely. Hey, guys, thanks for sticking around with us for a year. I don't even know how you guys did. Hey, we'll catch you guys next week. Catch you guys next time. Go like and subscribe. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.